Hello, it's Monday morning here, and over the last few days, I've had two of a very similar conversation. So I thought it's important. It's an important message. So I thought I'd do a quick video and answer some of these questions. Okay. First question is that I've put down a few questions, and I'm going to answer them and hopefully shed some light on what next. Okay, what to do next and what's actually going on. Question one, how is the collective consciousness being manipulated and how does it work? How does collective consciousness work? If you can imagine, my teacher says everything's made of spirit, energy and matter. Now, if you look at ice, okay, ice is matter, let's say. The energy part is like water, an emotion, thoughts. And the steam is like spirit, okay? It's all water. So if you have, let's say, a spiritual blockage in the steam that manifests down into the thinking and feeling, eventually you're going to create something in the physical world. And when you do, you've got to deal with it. So it becomes matter, this physical reality that we're living in. And if you want to transform your body to more energy, to eventually more spirit, which is the spiritual journey, okay, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of energy to heat up ice, to melt it to water, to melt it to steam. Okay, so just have this, bear this in mind. So when we put our focus, which is energy, think about it, our thought is energy. When we put our thoughts and emotions towards something in this reality, it's only a matter of time before it manifests, because all potentials exist in the field. All the potentials exist in this reality. It's what we observe. It's what consciousness or the spirit, going back to the steam, the message, the life that gives, the life intelligence that gives life to the body, that moves the energy, that moves the matter. Okay, so it's whatever that observes, it will manifest. Now, if you're looking at an individual person focusing in one way, you look at someone who's always complaining about bills, they get more bills. Okay, so we're manifesting all the time. But when a large group of people focus on one area, it manifests a lot faster. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the dark forces and the light forces. Okay. This is how collective consciousness works. Whatever the masses focus on, they'll get more of faster. Scientific research in this shows the observer effect. The Wiseman Institute of Research found that the greater the amount of observation, the greater the influence on what takes place. Okay, scientists are having trouble doing experiments right now because they're trying to eliminate their observation in the experiments, because they know it influences the experiments. Okay, so how is it being manipulated? Well, just look at the mainstream media. It's very, very simple. If you have 1% of people who understand this more than the masses, it's very, very easy to put the same news report on every news channel that's streaming 24/7, that's played in foyers of buildings and cafes. Every paper's got it on. And then you're watching a movie that's dropping subliminal messages before it happened. I heard Jay Widener talk about, when you get predictive programming in movies, it's in your subconscious. So when it happens, he says it's like putting on a pair of jeans you've worn many times. They're already fit to your body. They've already got the knees and the jeans and things like that. So it's familiar. This is a technique that they use. Very, very simple technique to use. So I remember whenever there was a headline in the papers or anything, and I was at work with all the abseil boys in Sydney, they'd be talking about it all day. So I'm assuming that all the bricklayers would be talking about it, all the accountants would be talking about it. It's very, very easy. And what happens is when you do that, everybody focuses on that and creates more of that. There's always trouble on the horizon, okay? It always keeps you out of the present moment, not allowing to connect to your true self and to actually ask deep questions. Always just keep worrying about what's coming next, okay? Question 2. Does the manifested world create the field or vice versa? So, a good friend of mine asked me a question. Does the field create the system? And I'm not saying I'm answering this correct, but this was roughly my answer to it, okay? It's both. And I'll go into this a bit deeper because, as I said to you before, if you get the people on the physical plane to focus in a certain direction, then they're influencing the field that's manifesting in the physical world. You get me? So that's an element of it, but there's also forces in the field that are helping these 1%. So the field, you have to remember, there is one universal source, which is, some people call it the Tao, okay? It is the creator of everything that exists. It's a unified field. It's where yin and yang, positive and negative, come from. Join as one, okay? Where they reach one. Then then to come back into creation, there's division. So there is one benevolent source. This is why, if you understand this, you'll also realize that the dark forces are actually on a bigger level pushing us in the direction of evolving. So there's always a larger good. This is why I don't get too I see the bigger picture. You have to see the bigger picture, otherwise you're just caught on the battlefield and it will destroy you. My poor sister messaged me the other day saying she watched a few videos that making her sick and making her cry. And I said, I've been aware of this information for 10 years, Suzanne, but I've got a spiritual practice. And if you don't have a spiritual practice where you can go deep into forgiveness and you can understand the suffering that those that are creating suffering are going through, to deepen your compassion, it's going to destroy you. So you've got to stop watching it. You've got to stop watching it. So, back on point, it's both. Just to answer it, I'm going to go deeper into this in the next questions, but just to answer this, those that know how to manipulate the field are using the collective conscious against us. In fact, they're actually using it to favor them, should I say. If they want a world where there's a lot of death, fear, which they feed off, and separation, and chaos, order through chaos is the Masons' motto, then they use the creative abilities of humanity to create their world. It's very, very simple technique, and we fall for it every time, even though that's changing now. So, how are we cut off from spirit and why? Okay, because I said that they cut us off from the spiritual world from birth. And my friend asked why. Or how? How do they do that? There's more atheists now than ever. Okay, I've been an atheist for 2 years. I know exactly what it's like going down that road, but I'm telling you, it has no legs. It has no legs because I wasn't just somebody who attached to being an atheist. I was an atheist who asked a lot of questions, and there's so many questions you can that just don't have any answers as an atheist. An atheist is just another religious person, if they're staunch in their belief, because we can't deny that when a body's dead, the intelligence that's given life to it has left the body. What is that intelligence? And if you acknowledge that life intelligence has left the body, what is it in you that's observing it? It's the same life essence, it's the same soul, it's the same spirit. So what is that? So, atheism for me didn't work at all. So, but what we do is we are told what to believe, what is possible at a very young age. We are bombarded with detrimental, life-denying things, from information that keeps us separate, limited, and afraid, fearful. We are bombarded with electromagnetic frequencies that are detrimental to biological life. We are bombarded with toxicity in the air, aluminium in the air, chemtrails, whether you believe it or not. We are bombarded with it. We are bombarded with poisons in our water. Okay, pollution in our water. We are bombarded with poisons in our food. And the effects of this is a biological being which is designed to be so powerful, so spiritual, so resilient. But we are basically, the result is we are just bombarded all of our life with life-denying technologies. And those life-denying technologies calcify everything. This is why Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and things like this are on a massive spike. Autism, then we're injected with all these poisons that bypass our natural immune system. This is why, and the reason for this is because everything's calcifying. It's not just the pineal gland. The pineal gland, which is our connection to the soul world, is calcifying. So we've lost that connection to spirit. We don't, kids, how many kids see spiritual images? I saw my nan, I saw my mum when they're kids, and then they grow out of it, because not only is the pineal gland calcifying, but then you have the parents saying, oh no, you didn't, it's all in your head. Okay, just dumb down, because they don't understand. That's what they got told. But it's not just the pineal gland. People who are scientists that are researching the brain now, they know that memory is not stored in the brain, it's stored outside the brain. So all the antennas in the brain that pick up the field, they're calcifying. This is why more and more people are getting Alzheimer's younger and younger and younger. We are calcifying. Okay? We are just tightening up and calcifying. Now, what you need to understand is, which a lot of people don't understand, is the 1%, the elite, whatever, are doing alchemical spiritual rituals for the dark side, but to open their spiritual channels all the time. I'll give you one, right? Get on this. A high-level Mason practice is you get locked in a box, pitch black, for days. And what happens is the brain produces what they call super melatonin, okay? There's a lot of crazy chemistry going on in the head. You're in darkness for days. Then they get taken in the box to a mountaintop, and as the sun comes over the horizon, the box is opened and they are forced to have their eyes held open. They're forced to look at the light. It's excruciating pain, okay? And what that light does after being in darkness for so long is it creates what they call super serotonin. This chemical process in the brain is going crazy. Then after they've looked at the light for a certain amount of time, they get put back in the box, nailed shut. They're in darkness again for another few days. This creates super melatonin again, but this now is opening the pineal gland. Okay, this is an alchemical practice, and some of the Taoists do a similar dark practice where they stay in darkness for a long time for a lot of healing properties from melatonin. And we're not producing anywhere near enough melatonin right now because we're up watching screens till 3 in the morning and getting no sleep. But anyway, going back to the Masons practice, then when they're allowed out the box, they drink this blood from tortured kids. Okay. This is which is full of adrenochrome, which a lot of people are aware now. Never thought I'd see the day where people knew about this stuff, but people are finding out about this stuff now. Then they are sensitive to light. They can only go around in the dark at night times. Does this ring a bell? It's the vampire story, okay? But this is an alchemical practice. They do spiritual practice all the time. They're always doing everything they do, every news report, every movie, every word that's spoken in a movie is actually spoken at the right time in terms of gematria and numerology, and do your own research on that. Everything they do is a spiritual practice. So as they are connecting more and more and summoning demonic energy, they are keeping the masses dumbed down and disconnected from spirituality, from doing spiritual practice and calling in benevolent beings. And this is because the question is there a war in the field? There is a war in the field. Just as you can have these people on the physical plane who do the worst things you can imagine, and you have people who are beautiful people do some of the kindest things you can imagine. It's the same in the field. There is benevolent beings in the field, and there is demonic forces in the field. So you have a look at what they've done. They're doing everything they can to see what's going on in the field, to open their spiritual channels, to try and live longer, create a world where they stay in control, and they treat their spiritual journey very, very seriously, okay? And they understand that it's very important to, on this physical plane, be connected to the spiritual world. So they purposely keep us disconnected, and they turn us into zombies. And the zombies we see in the movies is them mocking us. We're the zombies. We are beer drinking, ejaculating, masturbating, money chasing, KFC animal eating, Netflix watching zombies who don't care about anything. It's the truth. It's the truth. While they're doing their spiritual practice diligently, we're getting so excited because we can download Netflix movies in 2 seconds with 5G. It's really that's the case that we're living in. So the next question is, what do we do with this information? I've noticed that there is a process to hearing this information. When you see without a doubt that this is what these people do, and it's undeniable, and you get it, you see Ellen DeGeneres, and you see people like The Rock, and they're making jokes about what they do. And my friend that I spoke to yesterday, such a legend of a man, young man, and he said to me, I watched that video with Sandra Bullock and Ellen DeGeneres talking about she gets her youth from injecting young Korean boys' foreskin into her face. He said, whether you knew about this or not, that's not funny. That's not funny. And when you see The Rock making jokes about eating kids, and you see The Rock making jokes about making robots that can molest their kids faster, that's not funny. That's not funny. We can't find that funny whether we know this or not. So when you start seeing that this is true, okay, this is happening, what happens is naturally people tend to move into sadness and anger. Okay, sadness and anger. And I'm actually seeing a lot of people now who are becoming aware of this, which is the Great Awakening. I've spoken about this in the presentations for years. All the different traditions around the world are all point to this time as being the Great Awakening. Just going to get this sun out my face a little bit. As the Great Awakening. So what's the Great Awakening mean? It means that light is going to be shone on the dark areas. We're going to see what they've been up to, and that's what we're doing. But very important that we deepen our love and compassion. We deepen our spiritual practice. And this is why it's so important that when we meditate and throughout our day, put your focus on the soul world. Because while they're bringing demonic energy to earth, we need to collectively be bringing divine frequency and vibration. Okay? Speak to God. You think God only speaks to a chosen few? Change the names. That God has been misused for so long. If you don't like that term, don't call it God. Okay? Call it divine. Call it the grand intelligence, the creator, the soul, whatever you want to call it. Okay? the unified field, whatever you call it, whatever makes it feel right to you. Or call Buddha, call Krishna, whatever you want to do, these benevolent beings. We need to chant. This is why the mantra never leaves the lips. You chant Om Mani Padme Hum, for example. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. You dedicate time to Om Mani Padme Hum. What are you doing? All Buddhas that's connected to, all Bodhisattvas, you're bringing them to this field. And this is what it's all about. This is what it's about. It's about making a spiritual connection, bringing that frequency and vibration to this plane that we're on. And this plane that we're on needs it right now. Okay? Because they're called the 1% for a reason. There's less than 1% of them. They're the few. So the less of 1% do such horrific things that it balances the 99%, because we don't do anything near that. Okay? So if we can the 99% can connect back to the source, meditate together, bring in spiritual frequencies, benevolent spiritual frequencies. You've got 99% bringing in benevolent frequencies. You've got 1% trying to bring in demonic energies. We're going to see change very, very fast. So my point is, to wrap it up, what is next? What is next is, you know this information. If you just search for this information and you just stay angry and you share it and you like people getting angry on your posts and you call these, scumbags and these fucking this, that and the other, you're part of the problem. You are helping the 1%. You can share this information, but you have to give people a solution. You have to give people a direction. Okay? So I've started sharing more than I've ever shared, but at the same time, it's very important you understand that the sharing has to be so people understand how important it is to do something. It's not a case of just posting something and then sitting there watching a scary movie, watching it while you're getting pissed on beers. That's not the case. It is the case of, okay, hang on a minute. I'm here for a reason, okay? These horrific things are happening and there's change happening. People are becoming aware of this. Hollywood's never going to be the same again. What can I do? What I can do is I can focus on love, and I can bring love in, and I can connect to the divine. I can, or even just be peaceful, okay? Bring in peaceful frequencies, because we're reaching a tipping point. If we stay angry as a species, they still win, because we're putting anger into the field. But if we can stay peaceful, forgiven, understand that we may have done some of these things, it's a hard pill to swallow. But you see terrible news, heart-wrenching things, go straight into forgiveness. If I have ever contributed in any way to this, through thoughts, actions, speech, in any lifetime, I am sorry, please forgive me. And I forgive all beings. It's very fast, very simple practice, very powerful practice, come from the heart. So I hope this has been beneficial. I can talk up, there's a lot more questions I could go into, but we're already on 24 minutes. So just know that the fate of the world is on your shoulders. It's on my shoulders. This is not the time to sit back and wait for someone else to do it. So live in love, forgive, go deeper into compassion and understand the suffering of all those creating suffering, and bring light to this world. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.